All right, ready for this? We're going deep on Michael Jordan.
Love it.
But here's the thing. We're not just doing the typical Jordan stuff,
Yeah.
the championships, the stats.
Right.
We're going beyond the court.
Okay.
Using this. Michael Jordan, the unknown legacy of the king of basketball,
I like it.
to kind of uncover the why, the drive, the man behind the legend.
It's fascinating what drives people like that, I mean, what makes someone like that tick. And, everyone knows the name, the number, the championships, but it's that relentless drive. That's the really interesting part.
It's like we're pulling back the curtain,
Right.
right? Getting to see the real Michael Jordan. So where do we even begin with someone like this?
Well, you got to start with the early life.
Yeah.
I mean, you hear about athletes having this, innate competitive fire.
Right.
But with Jordan, it was almost superhuman.
Yeah.
Even as a kid, off the charts.
And it wasn't just basketball either. Like, the book talks about this drive he had, everything from card games to, golf.
Oh, absolutely.
He couldn't lose, no matter, what it was.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's the thing. It wasn't about just being good. For him, it was about being the best, proving himself again and again. And this kind of brings us to that, that famous story, getting cut from his high school varsity team.
Oh, man.
Can you imagine Michael Jordan told not good enough?
I mean, you would think that would crush a kid.
Yeah.
Just totally crush their spirit, but not Jordan.
No. It's like that rejection. It just lit a fire.
Oh, yeah.
Instead of crumbling, he used it as fuel.
Yeah.
It's actually, you know what? That's a powerful lesson for anybody.
Oh, absolutely.
Turning setbacks into motivation.
It's that fall down 7 times, get up 8, know? And boy, did he get up. The book really digs into his work ethic.
Yeah.
It's one thing to hear about it, right? Oh, Michael Jordan, hardest worker, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
But then you read these anecdotes, it's like,
it's different.
yeah, it's different.
It's almost superhuman, the dedication. I mean, practicing before and after everyone else, constantly pushing himself to the limit. Even at the peak of his career, winning championships,
Yeah.
it never wavered. That drive was always there.
Okay, but I have to ask, though, how did his teammates deal with that?
I know, right?
To be around that, 24/7, that intensity.
That's the thing, right? Because it's inspiring to some, but it could also be incredibly intimidating. Can you imagine, the pressure of being on a team with Michael Jordan?
Oh, man.
Where anything less than absolute victory is just, unacceptable.
Yeah.
So some thrived under that pressure. Others, well, let's just say it wasn't always easy.
Yeah, it's how do you even process that? Oh, we're going for the championship, no big deal. But, oh, yeah, Michael Jordan's my teammate, so I can't mess up at all.
Yeah, exactly. It's talk about pressure.
Intense.
Intense is a good word for it. And, speaking of intense, that story about Jordan punching Steve Kerr during practice.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that says it all right. That's Jordan in a nutshell.
It's that double-edged sword, right?
Yeah.
Passion can push you to greatness, but it can also, lead to some, let's just say, friction.
Yeah, friction's a good word for it.
So, okay, we've talked about, the intensity, the drive, but let's get into those early years in the NBA. I mean, 6 championships, it sounds like a straight shot to the top, but it wasn't always easy, was it?
Oh, no, not at all. And that's where I think a lot of people, they kind of miss part of the Jordan story. It wasn't instant dominance, right? He had to learn how to win.
And part of learning how to win is
losing. And specifically losing to the Detroit Pistons.
Oh, man. The Jordan rules.
Exactly.
Just the fact that they even tried to contain Michael Jordan. I mean, what did they even do?
Well, they basically threw everything at him. Double teaming, triple teaming him every time he touched the ball.
Yeah.
Using, physicality.
Yeah.
They weren't afraid to get physical. Let's just say they used some creative defensive tactics.
Right.
And the goal was just to wear him down, mentally and physically.
And it worked.
Well, for a while it did. Yeah. I mean, Jordan's early playoff runs, they were marked by frustration. Those Pistons teams, they were a problem. But here's the thing, Jordan. He didn't just accept defeat.
Of course not.
No. He studied those losses, analyzed their strategy, and you know what he did? He used it as fuel.
There's that fuel.
There it is, to come back stronger. He even changed his training to add more muscle, just to withstand their physicality.
See, so it's not just about, the working hard part, which obviously he did, but it's that mental game, too.
Absolutely.
Being able to adapt, overcome.
100%. And I think that leads us to a really, pivotal moment in his career. His
Yeah.
first retirement.
In 93.
93. And that, I mean, that wasn't just about basketball. That was deep. That was personal.
Yeah, you can't talk about that time without talking about the murder of his father.
Yeah, James Jordan.
It's just the weight of that.
Unbelievable. And, it's a side of Jordan we don't often talk about.
Right.
But the book, it really highlights just how deeply affected he was by that.
Yeah.
And basketball, it lost its meaning for him for a while.
And that's where baseball comes in, which a lot of people, they see it as this weird detour.
I know, right?
But when you know the context, it makes perfect sense.
Total sense.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't a publicity stunt. It wasn't about, anything other than him trying to connect with his father's memory.
Right, because James Jordan, he loved baseball.
He loved baseball.
Yeah.
And I think for Michael, it was a way to just feel close to him again, to find some solace
Yeah.
during a really, really tough time.
It's human,
Yeah.
You have this global icon, but he's still a person grieving, hurting,
Absolutely.
and he's trying to find his way back. But see, the thing about competitive fire, it never really goes out, does it?
No. And especially not for Michael Jordan.
Because then he comes back.
And comes back.
I'm back.
All right.
In fact, it was like the whole sports world stops.
Oh, yeah. Everyone's like, is he really back? Can he do it again?
And he did it. 3 more championships.
Yeah.
Like solidified his place in history, no question.
Oh, absolutely. He cemented his legacy right there.
Yeah.
But it's beyond the wins. It's that mentality, that never lose mentality.
Yeah.
That's what sets him apart.
It's almost like he couldn't turn it off, even if he wanted to.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Exactly. And that's where things get really interesting. Because this wasn't just a basketball thing.
Right.
It was everything. Like the book talks about his high-stakes card games with teammates, his golf matches. Like everything was a competition. He had to win. Always.
I mean, could you imagine living life like that? Every interaction, every game, every practice, everything's a competition.
Right. It's like exhausting just thinking about it.
Yeah. I mean, it obviously worked out pretty well for him. 6 championships, all the accolades. But you have to wonder at what cost.
That's the thing about Jordan, right?
Yeah.
It's that duality.
Mm.
Incredible talent, insane work ethic. But that drive, that intensity, it could also be a bit, well,
A lot to handle.
yeah, a lot. And the book doesn't shy away from that. Like we see the stories about the arguments, the outbursts.
Right. Even with teammates, like people he was close to.
Exactly. Which makes you think, where's the line?
Between like healthy ambition and just, I don't know, being obsessed.
Exactly. It's interesting, right? Because we celebrate these figures who are just so driven, so focused on winning.
Oh, absolutely. We love a winner.
We do. But it's important to remember that there's always another side to the coin.
And that even our heroes, they're human.
100%. They have flaws. They make mistakes.
And sometimes those flaws, those are part of what makes them great,
Yeah, it's that complexity that makes them interesting. And I think that's what I really enjoyed about this book, Michael Jordan. The unknown legacy of the king of basketball. It gives you the full picture. The good, the bad, the complicated.
Like, not just a highlight reel.
No, not at all. It's real.
Which I think is what makes it so compelling. So as we kind of wrap up here, I keep coming back to this one question. Could Michael Jordan have achieved everything he did without that drive, that almost obsessive need to win? Or was it that very thing, that intensity that made him the legend he is? Something to think about, right?
Absolutely. Something to think about.